Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Noel, for that introduction. We are taking it into a little bit of a different territory in this session, looking at a very specific topic, a specific industry, that is retail, and how the evolution of the customer journey has really changed, enabled by new technologies. I'm Paul Briggs. I'm Principal Analyst for Insider Intelligence and eMarketer. I've been doing that job for about 10 years. I live just down the road, about an hour down the road, so I cover Canada. But this topic is broader than Canada. It's a worldwide phenomenon. I'm glad to be joined by Jen and Jordan for this panel, and we're going to cover a range of topics. But first, I wanted to set it up with a few data points that kind of sets the stage. Just how much e-commerce is being transacted as a percentage of total retail sales. In Canada, the number, and this is hot off the press from our forecasts, is 11.5% in 2023. How does that compare to the US? The US is 15.6%, and the UK is north of 30%. So a wide range right there. The one other stat I wanted to share that relates to what we're going to talk about is digital buyers and the penetration of digital buyers in the population. So in Canada, it's 80% of the population 14 plus have made a digital transaction in the last month. So it's a very high number. In the US, it's slightly lower. In the UK, it's slightly higher. But what we're seeing is Gen Zs and millennials especially driving that number up towards 90%. So the first thing I want to ask my esteemed panelists today is those numbers. What do you think of those numbers as it relates to the opportunity in e-commerce and in digital retail?
Yeah, so I think the move to e-commerce and digital shopping has been going on for 20 plus years now. We all saw that acceleration happen during the pandemic. Many people who probably never thought they would be buying their groceries online were all of a sudden buying their groceries online. And all of us learned to look at digital channels as a primary shopping experience. So I think that has just accelerated and is going to continue as we find new channels through which we can purchase.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a digital shopper and a physical shopper, I guess, if there's a word for that. Right. And I think what's so interesting to me about the numbers is that even though the penetration of people that have tried online shopping or do online shop in a repeated fashion is so high, as you were saying, actually the vast majority of retail is still in physical stores. So it's not for lack of knowing how to shop online or knowing that you want to shop online. It's actually just that there still are many things that you want to get out in the physical world. So for me, it's kind of a proof point that physical retail is here to stay, as is digital retail. And it really is this, everything old is new again. I think we don't even say omni-channel anymore because it's too old-fashioned. But, I think omni-channel is the future. I think AI is going to be a big component of how we make both of those different channels successful and how we bring them together.
That's a good segue into our next question, the first big meaty question of applying innovative technologies in-store to make that in-store experience more like an online experience, more technology-enabled. What examples have you seen, each of you, of innovative examples of that?
Sure. I think there's a number of great examples out there. One place that I love to shop and see often is Restoration Hardware, now rebranded as RH. Right? They've moved away from having a traditional store experience. They now have physical showrooms paired with their online shopping experience and their catalogs. And when you go to one of their showrooms, everything has a QR code on it. There's no checkout. You build your cart online on your phone and check out and have things delivered. So I think that's really innovative. It fits well for the type of goods that they're selling. One of our customers at commercetools, Harry Rosen, that's a local Canadian luxury men's retail brand. They had a very high-touch in-store stylist experience. And what they've pivoted to or added really is a digital layout. So when you go into one of their stores, a stylist would lay out a selection of clothes to try on and purchase. And now they have a digital version that their stylist can lay out and people can browse, customers can browse. And the success rates for them have been great. Actually, 10% of their digital sales come through that digital layout process. And the returns are 3 times lower. So I think there's a ton of retailers doing really innovative stuff in that combined channel.
I think that's super cool. And I like the idea of taking a high-end experience, high-touch experience, and then elevating it even further, which I think we have there's still a lot of legs left to being able to do that. we're also, us at Standard, we're in the business of taking everyday experiences. In convenience stores, for example, there's something like 100 million daily active shoppers in physical convenience in the U.S. How do we take that everyday experience and elevate it? So we build things like autonomous checkout, where now you can skip the line and just leave the store. I think there's other really cool AI technologies that are doing similar things with automated order taking, for example. If you're going to a QSR or a drive-thru, how do we take all of these experiences that we're just very accustomed to, but make them just a little bit better, just a little bit faster? And then can we also start merging in the customization, the personalization to take them to the, not maybe to the premier level, the super high touch, but can we start integrating some of that feeling into our everyday experiences too?
Yeah, for sure.
Let's shift now to the hottest topic at this conference, I think, and that's AI. I'd say in the last 6 to 8 months, AI has really become a very, very important topic for every business. And retail is certainly trying to figure out how AI can improve that consumer journey, be it online or in store. Jordan, your company is Standard AI, so I'm going to let you lead with this. What do you think the big opportunity is for AI in retail?
Yeah, there's so many things, and we only have so many minutes here. I think of AI not as it's not the flying cars that we were promised, right? But what it does, I think, is that it unlocks the ability to deliver on failed promises of the past. All of these high-touch experiences that we wanted to deliver and to deliver them at scale and in a cost-effective way, suddenly we can actually do this. If you're thinking about, having a personal stylist, for example, now there's, generative AI where you can say, I want this piece of clothing, but I want to see what it looks like on me, right? Or on someone that's, that looks like me, right? And that personalized experience you can do in 2 seconds now for your online shopping experience. Same thing with convenience. How do we just make things more convenient? If you go back in time, retail used to be all high touch. It was all high touch. You walk into a store and you would tell them what you want, and then they would walk around and grab it for you and bring it back out. It was actually a cost savings initiative to put a basket in the hands of our shoppers and say, why don't you go do it yourself? Right? Now we think of that as it's kind of empowering to shop for yourself, but actually it was a cost savings initiative. So can we actually move back a little bit to that white glove, high touch world of having things brought to us, having the store and the machine that's powering the store understand us natively, rather than the shopper doing all of the work for self-checkout, et cetera? I think it's really about recapturing the promise of high touch retail, omnichannel, et cetera, but doing it in a way that finally means we can realize it, and we can do it in a cost-effective way that will actually be scalable and something we can put into the hands of every retailer in the world.
Yeah, I think what you said about the high-touch experiences is where AI is going to shine, right? AI, there's so many different types of AI. We tend to lump it all together, but the reality is predictive AI has been in retail for years, right? We're all used to product recommendations you might also like, but it's been a very one-way conversation between the algorithms to the customer. And I think now with generative AI, there's a real opportunity for the conversation to become two-way again, which feels more personal, even if we know it's a machine at the other end of the chat bot or the recommendation engine. So you can start to say things like, I like that blazer, I already have one in pink, can you show it to me in red? And feel like there's an actual interaction. So I think there's a world of opportunity ahead of us with AI now.
Just to follow up on AI, with the power of the algorithm, with the power of machine learning, a lot of data is crunched in that process. And it might raise some concerns for consumer data privacy. We've seen GDPR in Europe, we've seen California institute a new strict law. It's happening around the world, it's happening in Canada. It's a little slower, so it'll probably take a couple of years before we have a GDPR-like type Consumer Privacy Protection Act. But what do you say to people who are concerned that their consumer data, their privacy is being compromised because there's a machine crunching the numbers and trying to customize the experience for them?
Yeah, I think it's something we all have to talk about, right? And as a marketer, I feel like if brands really invest in that customer experience, you want to make your customers want to give you their data and know how it's going to be used. So to me, it really comes down to being very clear about your permissions, deliberate about how you're using data, and creating an experience where the customers feel like they get something in return, so it doesn't feel like you're just taking and using, but you're actually expanding their experience.
I have maybe a hot take in the AI world on this, which is, I think data is dead. We used to go back in time 5 years or 10 years, which is forever ago, and you would talk about data is the new oil, and every company is a data company. And in order to deliver these highly personalized ML, like we didn't used to call it ML, we used to call it machine learning or ML. In order to deliver a great ML experience, you would have to have an insane quantity of data, right? So that was your treasure trove, that was your defensive moat. And the biggest companies in the world had a massive advantage because they had 1,000 times as much data. But what's so, for me, amazing and kind of empowering and democratizing about the new age of AI is that these foundation models are already so powerful, they're already so intelligent that you only need a small fraction of the data that you previously needed in order to fine-tune it or zero prompt it or one prompt it for the particular use case that you have. So now suddenly smaller companies can make products, or you can make a product sometimes without any custom data at all. You can literally just build it straight on top of a foundation model. And then from a, I'm very religious about privacy and being very thoughtful about what data are we taking from consumers and how we're using it. Suddenly, sometimes you can deliver a product without any data from your customers. Not all products, but a lot of new products are of that regime, which I find super fascinating.
Yeah.
It's funny because when you hear about AI, it brings me back to a movie back in the early 2000s. Steven Spielberg produced it. I just don't think he had this level of industry application at the time. It was more entertainment. But let's switch now to another very hot topic, maybe from a year or two ago, and that's the Metaverse and augmented reality, virtual reality, and how those experiences can play into the customer journey, product recommendations or product reviews, product experience. What do you guys have to say about that?
I could talk about this forever too. I don't like the idea of the metaverse as being a different place, right? Like we have an amazing world that we live in, and I think the power of AI and computer vision, especially, is about unlocking the physical world. Which with the recent Vision launch with Apple, or the anticipation of the Vision launch from Apple, it's really about AR, XR, right? How do we take the physical world that we inhabit and make it better? And we view ourselves as in the same business for shared spaces. You have a shared space like a store, as an example, or it could be a stage like this, multiple cameras, and we're not trying to take people out of that space. It's really about how do we capitalize on the space and take it to another level? How do we use computer vision to digitize the space, again, to deliver new, interesting experiences on top of it? So for me, it's not the metaverse, it's the realiverse. I call it internally at Standard. Maybe we'll trademark that at one point. Because it's about how do we elevate the thing that's already amazing, which is the world that we live in today. And the last thing I'll say is, I think the last 50 years of technology has been about drawing us out of the physical world. It's been about only digital, right? All behind screens, on keyboards or touch screens. And now I think we have this ability to completely reverse that trend and say, how do we use technology suddenly to make the rest of the world, the 90% of retail, right? The rest of the world, just as amazing as what we've done for the digital world over the last half century.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that we're just seeing that continued convergence of the data digital world with our physical reality. And our only limitations are the hardware with which we interact, right? We have our smartwatches, our smartphones, we have the world of data in our pocket, but we're limited to overlay that with our physical surroundings by stopping what we're doing and looking at a device. And as you start to see AR become more usable, wearable, and affordable, which will happen, all of a sudden now we have different channels and ways to interact with the data that we already have access to, but overlaying it into our physical world. And I think, again, that is a really interesting future when you start to think about the applications and what kind of data would you like to have accessible without having to look away and search in your phone, but have it be a little more automated and integrated with the physical world around you. And there's so many potential applications for that in retail and beyond, I think. Yeah.
Both of your companies work with retailers to apply innovation to their in-store locations, their e-commerce apps or website. How well do you think retailers grasp the opportunity? Are they well versed? Are they still coming to you for advice, or are they looking at management consultants or other specialists? How well versed are retailers and the marketing teams within retailers to really seize the opportunity?
I mean, I see it all over the place. You see running the complete spectrum from, really struggling to see this digital future and how they play, and still retailers where there is a physical division and a virtual digital division, and they're separate with separate leaders, right? And then you see many retailers who get it. I mean, we listed off some examples. We both see them in our client base where they're already seeing that future and they're just figuring out when and how to invest and really what their customers want. It really comes down to knowing your customer. So it really does, in my experience, run the gamut.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's been a lot of insight, especially coming out of the last revolution that really affected retail, which was going to e-commerce and also having mobile-first experiences. So I think they've already woken up and realized that they need to be future-proof and constantly thinking about what's coming next. The other thing I think makes computer vision a little easier is that it's very physical. We often in our sales pitch will kind of pull back the curtains and show them how the technology works. We'll show them what the system sees. We call it the confidence view of like, here's the 3D reconstruction, here's our shelf comprehension of what's happening. And then you don't even need to finish the pitch. You show them the machinery, and because it's an understanding of the physical world that they already have, suddenly they just are aware that the machine has it now too. They'll start pitching us. They'll say, oh, then you could help us with our inventory in this way, and you could help us with our out of stocks and our logistics in this way. And then we say, great, you finished the pitch for us. You already understand how this is enabling, and then we kind of go from there. So for me, it's been a little bit of a mix, like you said, but surprisingly, much more downhill than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
Okay, we've got 1 minute left. Time for predictions. So maybe take 15 seconds each and give me a prediction of where you think this is all going.
15 seconds. Okay. I think the retailers that are successful are really going to approach this with an incremental innovation approach, not big bang 5-year projects that cost tens and tens of millions of dollars, but making small changes, seeing how their customers react, seeing what's coming, because things are changing very, very fast.
Yeah, I think that's a great insight. It's going to be bite by bite. It's going to be a gradual transformation. We kind of know what the destination looks like, which is AI and vision everywhere, convenience everywhere, high touch, amazing experiences everywhere. But it will be a gradual bite by bite transition. And I think the vendors that win are going to be the vendors that can plot that course for a retailer and say, actually, here's how we're going to take you on this journey with us step by step, ROI every step of the way.
Great.
Absolutely.
Thank you for your attention. And can we get a round of applause for Jordan and Jen?